You can say what you want, but I never been scared. Never been scared. Never been. And I just won't stop. And I won't stop. And I won't stop.
Welcome to the More Than Sports Podcast, where everyone has a story. On today's episode, I speak with Joel Davidson. Joel is a 1998 graduate of Southwood High School in Shreveport, Louisiana. During Joel's time on the football team at Southwood, he earned all district and all city honors. Joel played many positions while suiting up for the Cowboys, some which include running back, strong safety, wide receiver, tight end, and quarterback, just to name a few. After high school, Joel went on to play at the University of Louisiana, Lafayette. On this episode, Joel discusses how his leadership methods may have been misinterpreted by some of his teammates and how his transition into playing college football wasn't exactly what he expected. Now, thanks for tuning in. Now, let's start the conversation. Well, how's it going today? Well, I'm here with Joel Davidson, Southwood alumni, 1998. Welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm happy to be here, man.
Good, man. I'm glad you can make it too, man. I feel like you got a story to share with everybody, so I'm very, very interested myself to kind of hear your perspective, man, and hear your story on everything. So I want to kind of start right now with the first question on, like, as of today, like, what would you kind of consider your relationship is with, like, sports and athletics?
I'm still in love with it. My son plays sports. My daughter plays sports. I help coach his little league team. I help coach her team she's on. So learning a new game, soccer, and learning softball has been fun. So me and sports, we still got a real good relationship. Too old to play it. I still like to get out there. We had a little firefighter versus police officers game. We didn't get to do it during COVID, but the year before that, when I had like 7 catches, I thought it was Michael Irvin. But then,
okay.
When I was looking at some film, I was moving like a refrigerator pear. I did a spin move, and I thought they put the thing in slow motion, but it took me about 2 minutes to get back around. It moved the valves out, but in my brain, I was moving like Tyreek Hill or something.
And that's how it goes, man. That's how it goes. So, your mind, the mind is the last thing to go, right?
It is. It's finally starting to just accept it.
Right. So when did you first start playing sports?
Man, my first year playing sports for football was 3rd grade. I was going to Riverside. They was passing out this little sign-up sheet, and I just saw a little man on there in a little high pose, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." So I went home and I told my dad, I said, "Hey, I want to play this." And he was like, "You sure?" Because first of all, we was kind of, I don't want to say we was poor, but we didn't really have no TV with cable, so we didn't ball with my dad and all that stuff when we was little. So I really didn't know too much about football. I just was like, I want to play this, and he was like, "You sure about that?" I said, "Yeah." So he was like, "All right," and he took me out there.
Okay. Was that the only sport that you played, was football early on, or?
Yeah, that's the only sport I played until I did soccer a little bit in 5th grade, but that was like, it wasn't even through B part. It was like your class had a team and you would play tournament at the end of the year or whatever. Y'all would play games throughout the year, but at school during recess, so it wasn't like nothing major. And I did track my 11th and 12th grade year. I did track.
Okay.
It was just straight football.
Right. So you're saying you just kind of saw a flyer like during your 3rd grade year, and you just decided you wanted to play just because you saw a picture of somebody on the flyer. So when you got out there to start playing, like, obviously you didn't know much about the game. Like, how was that, just getting out there trying to figure out how to play?
Well, so, man, I remember we was that Hillsdale or Forest? I can't remember the school that we went to practice at, but we was out there. And we had, the coach lined us up or whatever. He talked to us. He lined us up. And we had to run from the point that we were standing to that T building. It was probably about 50, 60 yards away and back. That was like the very first drill we did. And I left everybody behind. Only person close to me was a guy named Santana Green. He ended up playing for Captain Shreve. He was pretty fast too. That's the only thing I really remember about practice. Other than after that, he put us at running back, and he said he gave us a ball. He was like, "We're gonna toss it to you and just run around and try to score." And that's what I did. He was like, "Okay," because couldn't nobody catch me. I used to be until I had my growth spurt because I wasn't as as tall as I was. I used to be fast.
Right. So you were saying like you just kind of came on and you were a natural athlete, like you didn't need much direction, much coaching, like just give you a spot and go.
Yeah, I learned real fast, and I wasn't scared of nothing. So that was another good thing, especially when you're playing football. So yeah, when I played, it seemed like I've been playing football for a long time, but it was my first time. Now I did have a fumbling real bad.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be wanting to run over people so bad. So like if I'm running the ball and I get close to you, I'm more concerned about running you over than still holding on to the ball. So I'll just grab the ball when that contact knock the ball out and stuff like that. So I used to have to walk around and tuck the ball all the time.
Right. Okay. So did you have anybody, once you started playing and kind of started understanding the game, was it anybody you early on started modeling your game after, like on TV or just anybody you played with?
Well, man, everybody used to say I ran like Eric Dickerson, and I didn't know who Eric Dickerson was. Like I said, we watched football on TV at home, and so I just used to play. I didn't really. When I was young, I didn't start having favorite athletes until maybe 7th and 8th grade year. That's actually when I actually started like watching football on TV and stuff. Of course, all the games we had was Cowboys and the Saints, so I liked Dalton Hilliard, Emmitt Smith, of course. I wasn't a big Barry Sanders fan. Earl Campbell, I love Earl Campbell. I like the old school running backs. Jim Brown, I like them guys.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like you said, around that time, those were the guys. Like you said, the Eric Dickerson, the Emmitt Smiths. Like if you were playing that running back position, like that was the gold standard.
Yeah.
Man, if you were watching around that time.
And I'm gonna tell you, if it wasn't for a techno ball, it wouldn't know who a whole bunch of people was. If it wasn't for I'd have been like, I don't know these cats.
Right. No, I get that. So was there ever a time when you played against somebody, and you were just like, man, this person took care of me, man. He handled me, man. I need to go back to the lab and get a little better. was it a one person that you faced over your career that you just like, man, I got to go get better?
Man, I'll be honest, I didn't never feel that way until I got to college.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, I'm trying to think. I mean, we had a team, the Country Club Bears. They had everybody. Every star that you could probably think about that came out the city, they was all on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Young, he was their running back. I don't think Donnie Turner was on there. I want to say Arnez Battle was on there. Man, they had a bunch of good athletes. Now, that team, I always wanted to beat them. We never did. We did make it to the championship one year, played them, and lost. But even then, back then, I wasn't thinking about getting in the lab because outside of playing football on the field, I never, like, in my spare time, practiced playing football at all.
Okay.
Yeah, zero.
So you just went out there and you was ready.
Yeah, I was ready to play. I was ready to go. Give me the ball, coach.
Right. So I'll read this, which I'll read to everyone I'm gonna talk to that went to Southwood, and this is over the past 9 years, this 8-77 record that they're holding on to for the past 9 years. So when I read that record off to you, that Southwood's football team has been 8-77 over the past 9 years. Um, what do you feel, or what do you think, or what are your thoughts like when you hear that record?
It's laughable. It's kind of sad though. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I don't really know all the coaches that they've had in that time. Brian was up there. Remember Brian Taylor?
Brian Taylor, right?
Yeah, and I said, man, when he went up there, I was like, they about to start winning games. Just because the way he played and his mentality, these kids hard to reach too. They don't want to, I guess he had a different generation of kids that just, for whatever reason, wasn't trying to buy into the system. But I don't really think it was his fault, man. I think it just stemmed from the culture at Southwood. It just ain't no winning culture. It's sad, but it ain't a winning culture, and it's evident in the picks that they have for coaches like Coach McClain. What can we say? Oh, don't matter.
Yes.
Coach McClain, hey man, dude was sorry when he was coaching offensive lineman for us. Why would you pick him for a head coach spot? I have no idea. I had no idea. Yeah. That's just
well. Yeah, and I know you spoke like, even like you said, when you were playing, we were playing. Like, even though, like I said, we wasn't winning, district, state championships, we were at least competitive. Like, to your point, it just seemed like now they're not even competitive, because to your point, man, even if you go through any school, man, you can find some talent, and as long as you got halfway decent coaches, man, you can kind of coach them up to a couple victories. But if you got seasons where you're going 0-10, 1-9, like that speaks to just top to bottom, overall failure throughout the program. And I'm just
Cavalry opening up, I think, hurt them a little bit too.
Okay.
Thinking a little more, because if you think about the athletes that come through Shreveport, I used to think that we had too many high schools. Number one, but I understand, I guess, why you would split a lot of that up. But it was too many athletes, because even when we played, man, when you think about our teams, our senior year, even the year before that, we won 5 games.
That's 4.
4 games. You see what I'm saying?
4 games. Right.
Now think about the people we had on our team. And then when we played against other teams, we were better than them athletic. Like, we had more athletes than them, but for whatever reason, we couldn't beat them. We couldn't beat them, and that used to drive me.
Yeah, well, that normally speaks towards coaching. So when you normally have more dominant athletes and you still can't get out victories, man, normally 9 times out of 10 that'll speak to you, like your coaching scheme and stuff like that. At least from my perspective.
And I think I had a different perspective back then on it than I do now. I mean, because you think about West Monroe. I mean, they in the championship, well, back then. They still get pretty far. They used to be in the championship every year on 6 plays.
Yeah.
They didn't run nothing but 6 plays. It was going to be option left. They was either going to hand it to Tommy Banks. They were going to pitch it to that running back, or the quarterback was going to keep it. They're going to do the same thing to the right. That was, knew it was coming every play, but you couldn't stop it. I think even if the players, because we didn't believe in our coaches. Nobody.
Wow.
We didn't believe in our coaches. If they could have just got us to buy into the system, even if we called 22 draw every play, it could have still been effective if we went out there and executed. But I don't know, man. It was just kind of weird atmosphere.
Yeah, well, and I think even like you said, just speaking to like a West Monroe and a Ruston and a Marshall and a Washington, like those teams or those schools, they put a lot more emphasis on the offensive line, because they knew if they wasn't going to be throwing the ball around and doing things like that, that their offensive line had to be the best functioning group on their team. Yeah. And it didn't seem like that was the emphasis for our group at times. I mean, we got guys out
Well,
there, but that didn't seem to be the emphasis.
well, you know what used to make me mad, and I mean, we just being honest. That was 20-something years ago.
Right.
I used to go ham on our offensive line because, like in practice, if I make them mad, they can block me, and I'm thinking to myself, do you realize that if you can block me, you can block anybody that we gonna play against? Like,
Right.
just do that every play. But who was our offensive line coach? Same coach who's responsible for a bunch of them 1-9 and 0 seasons, man. They didn't buy into his system, man. He didn't coach them right because his boys, we had some good offensive linemen, man. Everybody used to talk about them, and I used to be hard on them because I really didn't understand how to express myself properly all the time back then. But we had a good offensive line.
Right.
He didn't put no fire up on them.
Right. So kind of looking back now, do you think there was anything that, and that's a lot to say just for you individually, but maybe just as a group of players, maybe seniors or juniors, do you think there was anything that could have been done differently to change the culture at Southwood?
Looking back, yeah, but in the moment, I mean, we still growing up trying to find our own selves. We're not thinking about, you know what I'm saying? We're not thinking about that. Only because the way the program that we came in was set up, our freshman team, JV team, like, it ain't got nothing to do with one another. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we all in the program, but we run a certain kind of offense we ran our freshman year. It was not the offense we ran our sophomore year. Then you make it to varsity. This is a totally other offense. The coaches, these coaches don't like these coaches that don't like these. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't a full whole program. So our biggest thing when we first came in was trying to get to varsity as quick as we can, and everybody that was left behind just was left behind. So, but looking back, if we could have just, man, I don't know, because I felt like, and I could be wrong. It's just from my perspective, but I don't know how it's view me, because I know looking back, I could have been a way better leader looking back than I was through the time. But I felt like, I guess I was behind the scene, but not enough, you know what I'm saying, in front of everybody. Because, like, I could have just been selfish and been like, because my original position is a running back. And I could just be like, hey, I'm playing this spot and it is what it is. Just give me the ball, let me get these yards, and let me get out of here. But I really messed up myself by playing so many positions. I mean, sometimes I was at a different position every play. Play, and I'm like, man, I used to, because you was behind me at tight end spot.
Right.
Wade, Raymond Bird. Coach called us to the office, Coach Robinson, and see, he wasn't a football coach. He was more of a baseball coach, but he was over football. I could never understand that, but whatever. Wade, Raymond Bird. Coach called us in the office and was like, what can we do to get this thing turned around? And I told him, I said, man, because he used to, when we first got there, because me and Renell for sure, we would have played in our sophomore season. He came in, the first thing he said was, those sophomores will play on the varsity.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
I remember it like it was, because I came home and cried, because Coach Burke was already grooming a fullback. And because even though I was tailback, I got my growth spurt. I'm 200-something pounds. So even though I could still run the ball like a tailback, I mean, you got Karan Boston, Michael Young. I mean, it was qualified running back. So
it was gonna be tough for you to get some playing time in there, right?
Yeah, but I was still a good receiving back, and I was a good blocking back. So blocking for them, I ain't got no issues. I love blocking, and you can get I remember I blocked on Matter of fact, I think he might still have a record on that 98-yard run he got against Captain Shreve that he blocked. And I felt like just as proud as he was just to get his I didn't mind blocking, but he came in and he said that off the rip, and I was like, "Hey, this dude, they ain't even evaluated nobody
Right.
in the weight room. He brought us all out the weight room and told us that, and we was like, what? Like, bro, you don't know one person on this team. This is your very first time, and but when he brought us in an office, I was like, hey, look, I believe in Marvin because even though raw, you had good hands still. You know what I'm saying? You would go out and snag the ball. And I watched everybody in practice. I felt like you had proven yourself to be able to hold it down because you was a good blocker too. So I'm like, hey, you can move me around here and here. Marv can catch the ball. I said, look, I want to play running back because I felt like you give me the ball 30 times a game, I'm gonna get you some touchdowns.
You're gonna make something happen, right?
Yeah, and as much as we ran, but I'm like, look, Sid was coming up. He put himself to be, good. I'm like, bring Sid, let him and Dashawn rotate at the tailback. I said, you got Andre, who fullback. Andre, he gonna get you 3-4 yards just falling forward. I mean, he was a strong power. So he wasn't gonna shake and bake. You give him the ball, he gonna put his head down, and that's 3 or 4 yards right there. And I said, man, you can move me other places. You can even put me on the outside and wide out and move us around. But he didn't use everybody the way they needed to be utilized, and that was one of our biggest issues.
Like, was there, but it was, even with you, with the coaching staff, like, was there any conversations, like, in reference to, like, how they was going to use you, or that was something you kind of advocated for? Like, back then, like, were you like, hey, man, I'll do this, I'll do that, or were they like, hey, Joe, we're going to use you in multiple spots?
No, I was like, I'll do this and I'll do that, because I could play pretty much any position. I had already played every last one of them. Only thing that kind of hurt me, I still wanted to play defense. Coach P wasn't having that. He wanted down there every play, but I mean, I already know what to do. Playing a cover 3, and a cover 1 is a man, so just run with the dude in front of me. Cover 3, I got and I already know what if somebody come out in his zone to cover him. It is what it is. Like, I don't need to be down here every play. You can put me in and call the play, and we gonna get it done. But he didn't like that, and then he didn't like Coach Robinson either. So that was another thing, because he would hate I'd be down there, and then Coach Robinson called me after 10 minutes of down there. Hey, we about to do this play and install this. I got to learn this, and then I go there, and then another coach called me from over here, and it's like, yeah. So
like during that time, like during, like you said, like kind of like your sophomore year, like you were primarily playing defense your sophomore year. You were kind of playing both, or
no? So my sophomore year, I was still playing running back because I played running back freshman year. I played running back my whole sophomore year. Junior year, I was starting on varsity as strong safety. Because Coach P wanted me to come over there and play that because Edward was playing it. Edward Washington was playing safety. He was a senior, but I took his spot, and he went and took Andre Shaw's spot at fullback. He just wanted a little bit somebody faster. Because Andre was, and then we had Jerry Roscoe came in too. He played fullback as well. So that's how I started playing defense. But I had played defense. I mean, I had played both ways on every year I played football except for my except for my freshman year, and except for my freshman year. Because even my sophomore year, I would get in sometimes on defense at free safety.
Right. But you had kind of mentioned earlier, like you really felt like, I guess, coming into like your junior year, primarily looking into your senior year, like that hurt you playing multiple positions. You felt like you should have just stayed at running back.
Yeah, looking back, I should have just stayed. I just should have just stayed at one position. I should have either played running back and strong safety, or just strong safety, because everybody the recruiters that had already reached out to me everybody had recruited me as a defensive back. And then when I came into my senior year, because once you get into your senior year, man, pretty much the recruiting process is pretty much done.
Mm-hmm.
People know who they want, so everybody expected me, and that's when they first came out with that Louisiana High School magazine too. And I remember in there as they had me as a dependable, strong safety. Because I didn't miss no tackles, you know what I'm saying? So if you come to my side, you're going to get tackled, and I can cover pretty decent. You know what I'm saying? You put somebody in the slot, I can cover them, and I can cover any tight end. So they had me as a dependable, strong safety. And so schools was reaching out to me for the safety spot. But then when I went to my senior year, I didn't play safety at all. I got in more than I got in at strong safety.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, no, to your point, like you said, that's a lot of moving around. And you said, like you said, you were being recruited at strong safety, and now you're playing, primarily on offense. So I know maybe a lot of those schools that maybe were looking at you for strong safety were, kind of looking at you a little differently now that you were primarily playing offense. And did you think some of them maybe shied away because you went to the offensive side of the ball your senior year?
Man, I think pretty much probably all of them, most of them did. Because if you wasn't recruited like that, and they looking at this player at this school and then I could play every position and hold my own, but I wasn't gonna be.
You're gonna dominate.
Yeah. I wasn't the most dominant in this one. Now maybe on the team or the little teams we played against, but not when you talking about the whole country or all of Louisiana. Like, okay, I can find a better tight end than this, but I mean, if I played tight end the whole time, you won't, because I'll learn it like that. But when I'm just here a couple plays, and then I'm here a couple plays, it's like, and that was really before athletes was really a thing, where it was, oh well, this dude could play anywhere, we could just put it, and then that's one reason I started playing track, because when I had my growth spurt, I slowed down. So, I mean, I wasn't slow, but I wasn't fast like I was. So I really just did that to work on my speed. And if you got somebody playing an athlete position, that's usually somebody small and 5'9" or 180 pounds, and they just
they could play DB or wide receiver or slot back or something like that.
Yeah, that wasn't my style.
Right. So you talk about this growth spurt a couple of times. So can you speak to like when your growth spurt was, and like you kind of went from this height to this height? And
man, I went from about 5'9", my 8th grade, 5'9", 5'8", about 6'2", my freshman year.
Really?
So, yeah, that was the worst year of football I ever had. The only reason I even started my freshman year was because the coach was like, hey, you used to play for Brookwood Blue. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, you're my running back. Because when we first came out there, they had us going like, we had to try for an offense position and a defensive position. And I can't remember on offense. Man, I used to just pick stuff. And I'm pretty sure I did it running back. I went out there as a running back. And then on defense, I think I went out as either linebacker or free safety, just because that's what they said we need to do. But then once I think he already knew who Wade was, so he had in his mind that Wade was the starting quarterback, and that was pretty much it. I mean, he just used to give me the ball left, give me the ball right, man. I used to fall all the time because I wasn't used to my new body, man. I remember I used to come home and cry.
Yeah. That's
what it was. I'm like, what? Oh, like, I was like the little baby deer when they first started wobbling. That's what I was like. It was horrible, man. I hated it.
Right. Okay. So looking back now, like, during your time in high school, would you consider that you were a confrontational player? I know you mentioned earlier, man, that you kind of give the offensive line the blues, but like, Would you look back now and say that you were a confrontational player?
Within like with my teammates,
Yes.
man.
So you
Man,
got to
because
got to think about that one a little bit.
well, because I guess I could be viewed that way.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if you think about what I was thinking in my mind, like in my mind, I'm like, hey man, let's just shut up and play some football, man. Like
Right.
we used to play the West Monroes and Natchitoches Centrals and the Marshalls, and they used to come out there, and not just the line, but everybody just nervous. Hey man, like my brain, like, bruh, we can beat them. Like
Right.
we come out already defeated, then yeah, we gonna lose. And then so somebody over there on the sideline whining and complaining, yeah, I got something to say about that.
Okay.
And from the stands, I guess, you know, I used to think about that, and I'm like, you know, if I was a coach, even though our coaches sucked at recruiting,
Mm-hmm.
getting your name out there, getting you seen,
Mm-hmm.
they was the worst. But even if they wouldn't, I was like, if I was a coach, would I recruit this dude? Because looking from the side, look crazy, probably.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, you was behind me. How did you do when I was? Because I would go off a lot.
Yeah, no, I would say so, man. Just from my perspective, but like I said, I think it was a method to the madness at times. I knew
Yeah.
you knew like certain buttons like you could push with certain people,
Mm-hmm.
and I think just from my viewpoint, you were really just trying to get the best out of them. It didn't always
Yeah.
come off. It didn't always come off that way to them.
Look, I know it did, but I used to be like, bruh, I could just be being real selfish right now and just playing this one spot, and if we lose, we lose. But I wanted to make it to the playoffs. I wanted everybody else to feel like what, you know, because like Renee said, we made it our sophomore year, but I wanted to feel like that, and I wanted to play in some playoff games. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because we got a team that's good enough to go to the playoffs. Like, bro, we ain't sorry. Like, I know the culture of Southwood is sorry, but I'm telling you, man, like, because how can you have a team? We lost one game our sophomore year in JV, and my junior, even though I started varsity, you play JV just to get the game time, just to get the experience and just get other teams do. Because a lot of other programs, unlike ours, their JV teams and their varsity teams was the same. So
The same. They was running the same sets, same plays,
yeah.
everything, right?
So when I go out there on JVs, play on what, Thursday or
Yeah, I think sometimes Tuesdays, sometimes Wednesdays.
yeah. So when I go out there and play that game against Fair Park, well then I'm gonna be in that same position Friday. Well, I already played against every set they used to get in. I know when this man, I already know what the play is. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I used to play both. But we didn't lose the game. We won the district championship. How do we go from that? And then my junior year, on varsity, we was a senior-led team because it was me, Renee Wade, Raymond Bird was the four returning starters our senior year. Like everybody that's coming up, this all the people that was on our JV team when we was undefeated, and these are we playing against the same people that we played against them years. Why are we not doing the same thing?
Only thing that changed was the coaching staff, right?
That was it. That's the only thing that changed. It's like, bro, what are y'all doing? It's the same people. Like they have brought nobody new. It is no nothing. I mean, it's like, man, come on, man. And then you even think about, well, a lot of them guys didn't play against Arnaz.
Right.
He was a beast, but if you look at Arnaz stats, our game, you look at any star that we played that was supposed to be a star player, our defense shut them down. Down. Who was the guy from Fair Park? Reginald Robinson.
Right.
Killing everybody. He didn't kill us. You know what I'm saying? You had the Jet boy from airline.
Yeah, David Jet.
Yeah, I can't remember. Jesse Burton, Negative Central, Marshall. I mean, everybody on Marshall.
Yeah,
They-
that
but,
was.
but we almost beat Marshall. Marshall only had 10, 12 points against us our senior year. Now the year before that, that was I mean, it got ugly real fast. I think
Right.
you blinked and it was like, what just happened? But I mean, I don't know. Like you said, the only thing that changed was our coaches is the same player that we've
Right.
been slaughtering, and now we ain't winning. So yeah, I was viewed as confrontational because I used to get into coaches and the I did. I ain't gonna even lie to you. I did. Well, shoot, you was there. You saw.
Yes.
I know I'm saying crazy. Shut up talking to me. You know what I'm saying? Look, that used to be my attitude. Shut up talking to me right now about this player, this. Do you realize that I could just be, like I say, playing this one spot? I don't have to do all this, man. So yeah, I want everybody else to be giving your all.
Right.
I'm mad because I didn't get the ball this play. Hey man, who cares, man?
Right.
Do what you do, man. Oh, we keep running this play. Yeah, you're right. But like I said, West Monroe, they run 4 plays, and we can do that. So if we execute it, it really don't matter what the coach called. Like, I used to just want us to take control of the team, and we can't do no varsity blues, keep the coaches in the locker room type stuff. But if they call it, let's just own it. Let's just, I mean, this is what they call. This is what we gonna do, man. And so yeah,
Right.
Interpretation. But
Okay.
I wish going back, I could go back and I guess change my approach to, because it's hard to be a leader when you just, man. But I just push them guys, man. I
Right.
just want,
Well, and I think that's part of being a leader, man, is trying to push guys. And like your point, like it's not like you necessarily had this playbook of how to be a leader. Like
yeah,
you were just like you were angry and you were just trying to get everybody to a certain level of playing, and that's the best way you knew how to do it, man. And I think some players responded to that, but most of them didn't.
yeah, they didn't, man. They just shut down even more. And I was like, oh, oh my goodness.
Well, and then a lot of the players that we play with at that time, man, their mentality wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna dig my heels in and get better and grind and do that thing, man. They, for the most part, man, they had never really faced a lot of adversity,
No, you're
outside
right.
of football,
You're
also.
right.
So they didn't even know where to go to pull that out of them to bring it to the field. So I could definitely understand why a lot of guys didn't respond, man, when you were trying to light a fire under them.
And it was so weird because off the field, like football me and like regular me is two totally different people. Like football me, hey man, I feel like I transform
Yeah.
to the whole. But off the field, man, I'm David Banner, man. I'm chilling, man. I ain't with that foolishness. I'm no confrontation. I'm not confrontational at all off the field. I'm just cool. Everybody, let's get along, have fun, laugh at the joke. When we step on this field, man, it's go time. It's a battle. And
Right.
a lot of guys didn't have that mentality, and it used to rub me the wrong way.
Yeah. No, I could imagine. So, but like I said, just you're looking at the senior season as things start not to turn out the way you want it to. Like, what were those conversations like, man? Like with the coaches and even with the quarterback. Kind of when you start to have that slide, man. Because I know everybody's senior season, you're looking to have success, man. Like you said, you want to make that playoff push, man. You want everybody to just start playing at a high level, start taking the game seriously, and playing the best they can at every play. But as the season, starts to head in the opposite direction, man. Like, what kind of conversation did you kind of have with the coaches and even with your quarterback?
Coaches, I felt like they kind of just gave up. We wasn't doing nothing. We wasn't changing nothing play wise. They wasn't opening they wasn't real. accepting of outside anything, help, influence, none of that stuff. And I just felt like they was like, well, you just a player, you don't know what you're talking about. This is what we gonna do, so it is what it is. I mean, why call us in there and ask us what could be changed if that ain't what we gonna do? You know what I'm saying? We gonna come and do the same thing. I mean, you made us feel like we had a voice, but when it came down to it, we didn't. And not all the coaches. We had some good. I mean, Coach Frazier was good. Like Renell's Coach Haddon, he was, but all his players liked him. Coach Morning. I mean, I never understood why he wasn't the head coach.
Why he wasn't?
Yeah, but he used to have. I mean, every year our linebackers. We ain't never had no sorry linebacker. I mean, Coach P. He was Coach P, man. He was Coach P. But he was gonna run his way or no way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Listen to, because you think about it, our team used to be real divided. When we come out on game day, it was offense and the defense. It was never really Southwood.
Nope, never.
On the sideline, you got your defense down here, your offense down here, and that's fine if we going over plays, we talking about this and that, but it wasn't doing that. It was just like, oh, y'all sorry down there, and then the offense yelling at the defense on the sideline in the game. We are one team, y'all.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the game, it say Southwood lost. It didn't say, well, the defense, they used to get that moral victory. Well, we shut them out to this and that. Yeah, you did. But how about y'all cheer each other on the side instead of just, oh, they doing it. Oh, they sorry. Oh, he did.
But to your point, do you feel like part of that was because of the head coach and defensive coordinator wasn't on the same page, so that kind of trickled down?
1,000%. Yeah, 1,000%. Because your troops gonna fall in line with you. You weren't gonna get out of Coach P good graces trying to be helpful to the offense and vice versa. So yeah, it was. Our coaches was not on the same page, and that hurt. That hurt a lot.
So do you feel like you were coached to your ability at Southwood? Like, were you coached, or did you just kind of get out there and make things happen on your own?
Whoa. When you say coach, like technique wise and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm talking about like technique wise. I'm talking about like putting you in a position to be successful. Actually helping you to become a better player.
Oh no. No, not at all.
Well, and I say that because I think that's part of a goal for a coach is, all players, but specifically players that play at a high level, you should take a responsibility to make sure that you're coaching that player, to make sure that they're maximizing their talent while you have them. Because that's what most coaches, man, you only have players for a short amount of time. And, to make sure that you're coaching those players to max out their ability while you have them, I think is really important. So that was just kind of one of my questions I'm always curious about, players that come through any system. Like, do you feel like you were actually coached? Do you feel like you were put in positions to be successful? Did you feel like once you left because you played under this coach or under this system, like once you left, you were a better player?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Not even, no. I mean, I don't know what to say, because I don't want to just, I feel like I'm being real negative.
Right. Well, I get that.
But I had overall I had a good time in South. You know what I'm saying? I liked the coaches. I didn't dislike the coaches. They just wasn't good coaches. They was good people. They just wasn't good. They weren't good coaches, but I think the school, just like the coaches, they didn't have everybody in the right fit. We should have never lost. I don't know how we lost Coach Worthen sophomore, because he still stayed around and was like an advisor or whatever. Then I think he started the freshman team.
Yeah,
he was a coach. Them other guys, they were just some homeboys out there.
All right.
Yeah, running around. I mean, we felt it as players. I mean,
yeah.
they didn't coach no techniques. I could just, I don't know. It's hard to explain because I could just know how to do stuff. So they tell me that I could just do it. It's really hard to explain, but no, they didn't coach. Because when I was playing tight end my senior year, like when I played, if you just gonna keep me on offense and not let me play defense too, which I don't know who went to I want to say it might have been Frank G. Barnhill was on the right side. Maybe he was on the left side. One of them went to the strong safety. They used to make their plays every now and then a year. But if you're not going to let me play defense and I'm just going to stay on offense, and I'm telling you I'll move around and do whatever mismatches in this, I mean, even at tight end, right? Ain't no line. What linebacker for what team will be cover me? So why are we taking advantage of this?
Right.
Why are you using me to block this defense end easily? Like, why are we not? We should have had a Tom Brady, Gronk type, a Travis Kelce type of offense. But if you was a receiver or any type of person catching the ball on offense, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was tough times.
Yeah,
Tough.
yeah. And then our senior year, they remember we had the guy come from West Monroe. I cannot remember his name. He wasn't a coach, but he used to be there at practice every now and then. And we beer option.
Yep.
In the middle, how you changing the whole offense up just in the middle of the season, man? I don't even understand. Yeah, I didn't understand.
Right. So as like you said, your senior year kind of comes to a close. Missed playoffs, end up 4-6. What were the conversations like with your coaches when you started looking towards the next level and playing in college?
They was off to baseball. Coach Morton had track, and so we didn't have no dedicated football coach. I don't think we just had somebody who just did football. Coach Frazier, he was off to softball. And then I think one of them even did soccer. So it really wasn't no conversation. He brought me and Renell in his office and showed us how to use a VCR, man. And it's like, hey, this is how you make your highlight tape. And we was just in there winging it. I'm talking about, like, do we show them a whole game? Do I just need to show them good plays, bad plays, like blocking? Like, I don't know. So we just making highlight tapes made by high school players in this office for weeks because, we went to that block schedule our senior year.
Okay,
and
yeah.
I had most of my classes out well. I thought I had most of my, according to our counselor, we had all our classes when we got to college. Found out we didn't. We was missing something, which is a whole nother story. But I used to go to, because I was done with my Englishes, I used to go to school, go to Spanish, and then I had 3 gyms the rest of the day. So during them gyms, I would be in there making highlight tapes to send off to schools ourselves. It was ridiculous, man.
Wow.
It was, and then I even found a box in there one day with a bunch of recruiting letters with my name on it from my junior year.
That you never got?
Yeah, that we never got. But then come to find out, they had did that to players before us. Because you got to think, man.
Well, I'm definitely curious. So why do you think that was? Like, for you to get mail from prospective colleges, potentially wanting to bring you in for a potential scholarship or a visit or whatever the case may be, maybe even for you to come into their camp the summer coming into your senior season. Why would those coaches withhold those letters from you guys?
Man, I think our coaches used to think that we don't want these players big-headed or getting too cocky or thinking this or thinking that about themselves, and now we ain't doing nothing no way. Like, it ain't like we do something special. We messing up the program. Like, bro, give us our stuff, man. Give us stuff. But when I got it, I started sending that stuff out, like filling out these. They want your information, your 40 time, your bench press, your height, weight, all this just preliminary information stuff. I'll start sending that stuff off, but it's too late. You're
Yeah.
way.
I'm assuming at this point, what are you looking at? Maybe January or December after your senior season, or
Yeah, it's around that time what we doing, because our season always ended on the last day. We was have no extra games, so yeah, whatever the last game was, we was done. We wasn't hoping for no coin toss, or maybe we get in some kind of way. No, we was not getting in. We went in there. We're making the highlight tapes. I had already been in contact with ULL prior, because they was recruiting me as a defensive back, and it was a school. Iowa had sent me a lot of letters. Hawkeyes and Iowa State. I don't know what pipeline, because usually it's some type of pipeline they have with these coaches.
Yeah.
They start, but it was a community college, Northern Iowa area community college was the name of it, and they're kind of like a feeder school for those for
the D1 schools.
And, yeah. And, man, when I look back at it, I should have went there, because the coach was like, he wanted me to play defensive back, and he was like, you can come in and play immediately, and I was like, oh, I want to play. And see, that's another thing. I didn't know what I wanted to play, because I had everything, and now it's been so long since I played running back. I'm like, what position do I even play? Like, what am I good at? And I was when I left my senior, I was confused about what I wanted to play. UL recruited me as like I said, defensive back, but I didn't play no defensive back.
Your whole senior season, right?
So that hurt me. So we ended up going. I ended up going there. Renell ended up going there with me, but I had already went to a couple of unofficial visits with them, and I was down. I was telling them about not just me, like, because I felt like, hey man, if I'm getting these opportunities, we got some other players on our team that should be getting opportunities too. So let it be known about them. So his dad and him start coming to the those little recruiting trips with us, the little visits, unofficial visits.
So when you're saying Coach Rob brought you and Renell in, like, why do you think it was just you two guys and no other players? Because I know there was a few players that played at a high level other than you and Renell. I think you had mentioned Raymond Bird.
Yeah, and but see, I think Raymond had started getting in trouble.
Okay.
I feel I want to say that's one of, because do you remember when Coach DiNardo came to the school? One day he was on campus the whole day. I think he came to look at Raymond.
Okay. No, I did not know that.
He came to inquire about him, because I mean, one first step was. Oh yeah. He was next level. Yeah. It was backfield. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man, because we had Jerry Washington. That was he was raw, but Jerry get back there and he would make the plays. I mean, and then another thing, we used to be so set on the doggone D1 school. That would be something that would be changed in there, because everybody just want to play on TV at LSU, and but there's a lot of other schools that we probably could have got in late had we had the knowledge and just known how the process worked. But I mean, who there to teach us and show us?
Right. And there was no like schools locally on maybe like the D2 level, like a McNeese or a Northwestern or anything like that was trying to recruit you at that time, just like you said, those schools in Iowa and.
Yeah, I had Iowa. I had Southern Miss, UL. That was it. That was it.
Okay. So what was it like to your direction? Because I guess I heard something different. Like whenever you guys were rolling out, seasons ended. Obviously, they start rolling out the end of the year accolades, and you see like, hey, where you were first team all district, you coming out second team all city. Like, was the expectation once you saw like the accolades that you received that schools would really start coming knocking at your door?
No,
No.
because and the only reason I did it because I was not happy with them accolades, man.
Okay.
And the only reason I wasn't because I was like, that was when I officially felt played. I think because I'm like, because it's really coaches meetings. They going in there and they discussing these players, and that's how they getting on these
Right.
teams. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm looking at all these people that's on here, and I'm like, I'm better than all these. But they hit it. I'm like, because I made it as tight end, which in reality, I probably shouldn't have because I wasn't even on the field enough in that position to be even, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, my stats was, I don't remember my stats. It was middle of the road stats, but I also wasn't there. I mean, I was close to the top in them positions. I mean, with the stats at that position. But that's playing there, man, 30% of the time, 40% of the time, and on a running
Yeah,
offense.
offense.
Yeah, so I'm like, man, imagine if we was an actual passing team and we used to make like I'll be all not being on all state. Man, I ain't gonna lie, that hurt. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm an all state player, and I ain't, and that was rough.
Yeah. Well, your QB was all district, so I guess that was one of the things I was thinking about when I was kind of going back and looking at some of this stuff. Like, apparently they
Yeah,
felt like we threw enough for the
well,
QB for the
because
team to be all district.
when you gotta look though, Wade when he did throw it, look who he's throwing to. We ain't dropping no balls. I mean, I had, and I know you probably don't even remember it, but in Washington, I dropped a wide open uh, halfback pass. We was down by what 7-8 at the time point in the game. That's the only play everybody talking about. Man, I remember that Washington game. I'm thinking to myself, man, you know how many balls I caught? You just talk about the one I dropped. We didn't drop no balls. Josh, he was he was a possession wide receiver, and then even Tremaine, his hands had improved. Well, they really improved after his junior year going into his senior year. But I mean, he could catch, so his completion percentage was money. I mean, his yard wasn't up there, but his completion percentage was there.
Okay. So you mentioned visiting ULL. So why did you end up settling on ULL as opposed to some other college?
Man, I liked the campus, and they wanted me the most out of other ones. Like I said, the one in Iowa, but I mean, if I go there, I ain't never coming home. You know what I'm saying? Like, bruh, that's too far away. Just thinking as a high school kid, it's like, well, at least it's still in Louisiana. It's D1.
Right.
I mean, it's a D1 school. Northwestern was going hard in the paint, but it was like they ain't D1. And then even though we was one of the worst ranked D1s, I mean, we was at the bottom of the barrel, independent school, so you was playing against some good competition. And man, my mentality on a lot of stuff was just get me on the field with whoever you think is the top, and we'll see.
Right.
You know, and so I mean, the talent that they played down there, especially the couple games that I went to, I'm like, yeah, I could do this. So we went down there.
So when you got down there, I guess like you said, they wanted you the most. So you decide to come down there. How did that transition work as far as like your communication with the coaches, for when you come down to get started and obviously kind of work out a position? Like, did you commit to playing offense or were you looking to play defense coming in?
I hadn't committed to anything, and so I knew they was recruiting me as a defensive back. So when we get down there early, way before school started. You know, when the football players get down there, but we not in the football dorm. So we in our regular dorms, and man, it might have been maybe 4, of us total, me, Renell, and maybe 2 other guys. I have no idea. I don't remember who it was. And have you ever been to UL campus before?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, so you know the football stadium is nowhere close to
the campus.
Yeah. So, but we gotta walk here. We gotta walk there from the dorm every morning. Football practice started at 5 in the morning. So we wake, but we was there, man, maybe a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. They already practicing. A lot of them had already been there. The coach who recruited us quit and started selling. Yes. And so I'm like, hey, man, I mean, we waking up and just chilling. I mean, the whole campus closed pretty much. So we like, all right, when is this supposed to start? You know? We had got all our paperwork and stuff way before time to get down there. So we just had that summer break. And then, hey, they gave us a thing, said we supposed to report on this day to the campus and, you know, to go from there. So I called the coach. And he's like, oh, I want to say his name was Coach Daughtery. He said, oh, man, I forgot about you guys. Let me call over there and get you set up. Y'all head on over there to the stadium. So, you know, it wasn't no Uber or taxis back then.
No.
So we made that little couple mile trek to the stadium, went over there, and they just asked us what position we play. And I was like, wide receiver. I'm like, hey, man, I'm coming to this thing fresh. Hey, wide receiver, brother. Just sign me up. And that's how I started. Man, Renell, of course, he said defensive back. So they got us signed up. You know, we behind, so they trying to catch us up. Like,
right.
They give us some lockers. And for some reason, I had a locker in the main locker room, but Renell had a locker in the locker room that was way on the. I don't even remember where that locker room was. But it wasn't like a part of the main locker room for some reason. But it was because the other players had lockers over there, but I don't know what that was about. But we had to get all this stuff signed out to us. It wasn't like we just, you know, we didn't bring our own cleats, so we had to get, and they had everything. Like it wasn't, like, man, they had gloves, tape, shorts. Do you want a jersey like this or it's cut like this? Man, I don't even know what you're talking about, brother. Just give me a jersey. You know what I'm saying? So they got us all squared away. And we started going to practice. And then that's when I realized how much we did not know about football.
Right. Well, yeah, and that was going to be one of my other questions. Like once you got there, like, you know, with college football, was what you expected to be? Was the practices is what you expected to be? And how much of a learning curve was there?
Oh, let me tell you, first off, the whole college experience was a whole learning curve. Coming from Southwood as an athlete, they failed us tremendously all the way around, especially going to a big school like that. We just talking about the football side, and I didn't even realize how unprepared we were until school actually started because, you know, we just waking up going to football practice.
That's it, right?
The school part. So just on the football side, the amount of work you put in. I mean, you was my teammate in high school. I wouldn't know. I was talented, but I was not a hard worker. As far as, like, you know, we're in the weight room. Man, I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you can do all this, but I'm not about to do that. I'm about to go outside and wait for the practice to start. Because in my brain, I'm like, you in here doing all this, and then I'm going to go out here and still dominate you. So I need to do this for. You know what I'm saying? That was my bad. But that goes to coaching. Somebody should have, man, you got to do this. And, you know, it's one of them things, man, my talent took me some places where my character couldn't keep me, man. So I was talented enough to get there to D1, but you got dudes who now they talented and they work hard.
Yeah.
Now this is they didn't jump to because we come from being the stars. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's, hey, I'm Joel Davidson, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like who you about to put across from me? I don't care what school they were from, what their record was. You're gonna have to get it, and it just wasn't the case. But you
But
know,
how was those practices though? Like you say, once you got out there, and like you say, you were talented, and you knew that your talent would take you so far, but you knew you had to eventually start putting in the hard work. So like
yeah,
obviously you coming in playing receiver as you're
man,
going up against these guys who've been up here a year or two or three. Like how
yeah.
was that starting to go against guys like I say you're 18 now you're facing guys that's 20, 21, and that's been there for years working hard. Like how did you feel like you matched up when you got there?
Man, I stepped up as far as so like I would have, you got different portions of practice or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When we just in the beginning we going against the DB running your regular routes. Hey, run a post route, run a fly route, run a 5 and out. Got money. I could do that. When we start working it into the system, actual plays, that's when it because now I ain't just playing football. Well, I ain't just playing the football that I'm used to. I gotta think. We ran a spread offense at UL. Now, you know anything about a spread offense coming from what we ran, and then country we ran mirror routes. So at Southwood, a play would be Cowboy right. I mean, the tight end gonna be on the right side, 62. That's I don't know why they used to put the 6 in front of it, but that means 2 is the 5 and out. That wasn't 2 route, is the 5 and out. He was on both sides, going run a 5 and out. When Wade kiss drop, he just picked whichever one he want to go, which I'm pretty sure he picked it pre-play, who he wanted to throw. He gonna throw it to the left or to the right. If they ain't open, the whole play is broke down. You know what I'm saying? It's sort of like here, you got this man running across, so he running this, and you got to hurry up get here because you the second read or the third read.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we didn't run. I remember they used to do like this. I mean, that the route was locked, so they might call a post route, but if they didn't say lock, well, now depending on what coverage they in, this post might turn into a 15 and in, or it might turn into a fade, or it might turn into an out route, or it might turn into a post corner on one play. And I'm like,
yeah.
So now you kind of run your route, read this coverage in the middle, and hoping that the quarterback reading the same that you read. And anybody, anything that you do, the more you think you slowing down.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm looking like a turtle, reading the wrong coverages because we ain't nobody teach us how to read no cover. Now I knew what the different coverages was because I played defensive back, but from an offensive perspective, whatever route they called at Southwood, that's the route they called. I didn't really care what kind of coverage somebody was in. He called a 2 and up. I'm gonna run that. He called a post play. I'm gonna run that. So that was major right there, man. trying to learn the playbook was the hardest thing for me, and that was hard. That was rough. Just trying to learn a real offense because we never really ran one until college, and these guys coming from pro systems and all these other systems. The lingo still the same. When they call a play, and I don't know what you just said and why you said it to me because I don't know what to do.
Right.
If you don't know what to do, you ain't got nothing but 2 or 3 times to not know what to do, and you gonna not know what to do right over here on this timeline. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was the rough part because the other stuff, the weight room and all that stuff. I mean, that was what we had to do it. So stepped up and got in there and did it. Me and Renell, he got pulled in a prop. They made him a prop 48er. That's what it's called. If you ineligible, but he wasn't well, I think it was academically ineligible, not based on what we did in college, but based on some stuff that our counselor said we already had taken care of, but evidently we didn't. And they caught mine way later. I mean, man, it was like might have been the whole after that first season, going into this spring game, or it might have been that far before. Because I ain't gonna lie, I was laughing. I was like, "Why are you getting Prop 48?" Everybody make. Boy, they told me that I was. Boy, I don't think it was enough boxes to keep you in Lafayette. All that crying out because you've been out there busting your butt, and all of a sudden they got me in there. It was like, and they take it serious because they could be ineligible.
Yeah, they can lose. They can lose games. They can lose bowl games.
Scholarships.
Scholarships. The whole deal. So,
and they not about to lose none over no players like us. So, I was down on the Prop 48 thing. We pretty much just worked out. That's all we did was just work out from a couple times a day.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, that was it. We couldn't be with the team and all this other stuff, so we just worked out. We were still on the team, but it was just weird.
Right. Yeah. So basically saying you were practicing with the team for pretty much your whole freshman season, and then they figured out that you were missing a class that you should have taken when you were in high school.
Yes.
Like I said, what you were kind of talking about earlier, that you would have, if you would have had the proper support from like your counselor, your coaches, they would have checked and double checked and made sure that. Because like you mentioned earlier, you had, I guess you said during that second block you had 3 gym classes. So one of those classes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was crazy. My whole senior year was a joke. You know what I'm saying? At Southwood. And then, it was a joke. There was a lot of other stuff that they could be teaching us and showing us. It should have been illegal for me to be able to have the schedule that I had my senior year. Mm-hmm. Like at one real class, that first block period, which really pretty much equal to a 9-week period. Mm-hmm. Then I just jokes the whole rest of the time in school. The whole rest of
right.
And they took 2 weeks to look at whatever they was looking at, and then came back. Oh yeah, y'all got everything you need. Okay, cool. If the counselor say I got everything I need, I feel like I'm straight. No.
Right. So how did your first season end? Like obviously, like you said, you kind of got pulled to the side about the Prop 48 thing, but I guess their expectation was, as long as you take care of business while you were at ULL during that first year, that you'd be ready to kind of get back on the field starting in the fall during your sophomore year, your second year. So how did that first year end, and then how did you kind of get kick started in the spring and then in the fall? After
that, because we was there for a year. Well, I was. I didn't go back. Man, I guess you just kind of, because let me tell you, school wise, because like I said, football was a struggle, and then we get to school, man. My smallest class was maybe 110 people. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't understand something, there ain't no raising your hand. You got to schedule a meeting to meet with your professor. All right, that's cool. You schedule a meeting. Well, that's 30 days from now where you can get in there. Well, you know stuff I don't understand up until now. The questions I got for you, ma'am, was when the second day we was in here. We done went 4 weeks. I don't know what's going on. Man, we used to get these research papers because, everything was a paper. Well, you know how many research papers I wrote in high school?
Zero. Wow. Yeah.
And so it's like, well, you got to, it's this type of research paper or this style of research paper. Or so now I got to write a research paper and then a style. So, man, I used to go to the library. See, and Renell said, we need to go. No, I went to every class. Now, I might didn't know what was going on, but I was in there because my daddy went by the drive down here. At least I'm going to class. I'm trying. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I got to go to the library to research how to do a research paper. Ridiculous. Why am I having to do that? Man, I'm gonna tell you. I felt so behind. It was crazy. It was like, huh? I mean, like I graduated. My ACT score wasn't bad, but I can do. If you give me a test with some multiple choice, I got a pretty good common sense. I can figure out. I can read what you got, and I can figure out which one don't
Right.
go. But when this other stuff, I don't know. I don't know.
But did they provide? And I don't know if it was different from the props than the scholarship players, but did they provide tutors for the football team or for the
Yeah,
props?
we had a study
Okay.
hall to go to every day, and they had tutors and stuff in there, and they teaching you and showing you stuff. Um, but they teaching you and showing you stuff based on basic knowledge of, like, you got to have some type of basic
You
knowledge,
got to have a foundation, like you're saying. So.
yeah, to understand what they talking about. We ain't had it. I'm
Right.
like, I was to school for 4 years because I ain't miss a day. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know none of this. Like, my grades weren't bad. I wasn't no bad student. I was in there paying attention. How is this even possible? And it was that was really rough on me. And that's what pretty much I was like, I can't. This football now is being overwhelming, which that used to be the fun part. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And this part is over. And you can't do the football without this. And then Foot Action wanted me to come be their manager because I've been working there since I was sophomore. And I'm like, I'm going to school to be a gym teacher. They make $30,000. I said, they pay $50,000. Just made free shoes. I'm out of here, cuz. So I was gone.
So this was like after your first year, I guess after your spring semester, your first year, you just. I guess I'm a little curious of how that conversation was with your parents. Like obviously you've had all these conversations during your senior year. You're going down there with expectations to get a college education and play football, and then after that first year, you're like, I'm not going back.
Man, so they was like, well, they asked me what I wanted to do. And was I sure? And to just kind of think over it. And Coach Tolbert, that was our wide receiver coach, because we had a whole change in the coaching staff. Coach Stokely was gone. So we had Coach Baldwin, who came in, and Coach Tolbert was my wide receiver coach. And he called me, and he was like, hey, you're going to be coming back. And I was like, hey, Coach, I ain't going to lie, I don't know, And so I was just thinking about it. And I told him, I said, yeah, I'm coming back. I said, I'm going to come back. I ain't going I'm going to come back.
So this is like summer '99.
Yeah. Yeah, 99 to summer 99 to, yeah, summer 99. That's when it, so being, I'm sorry, I thought about to sneeze. Then Foot Action came with the offer, and I was like, nah, I ain't. So, why I'm going somewhere to get $100,000 in debt to make $30,000? Like, this ain't happening. You know what I'm saying? And you ain't giving me no Jordans. Yeah, out of here. No. So I ain't go back, man. I started working at Foot Action. I started working at Foot Action South Park Mall. Sure.
So was it that easy just to walk away? Like you just kind of made up your mind, like I was done, like, and you didn't ever have to put on the cleats again?
Yeah, no, I ain't gonna lie. Now I'm sad about that part. And then I had left all my stuff in that locker down there. All my stuff was still in the locker. All my cool cleats, my shirts and everything, shorts. But yeah, and I just walked away because at some point you gotta start being realistic. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
When you get to college, football is a business. We was there, but we was unprepared. We was so unprepared. We had the talent. And of course, I went with me and Renell was at the same school. But you're gonna go with it's good going with your boy and somebody down there and stuff like. Because other than that, we wouldn't have known nobody. But we had the talent to play. It was just we didn't have the full package. It's so
Right.
much more. It's so much more like this podcast name. So much more than sports. When you get down, it's so much more than football that you got to do that we weren't prepared for.
Right. So I guess what you're saying, like you wasn't paired necessarily academically or athletically when you got down there.
No,
And
especially knowledge wise. Like conditioning and stuff was something shocking to us because we didn't really just have to do that much at Southwood. But running track them last 2 years helped me a lot with that. So going there to running wasn't too bad for me. The heat and humidity was something totally different because it's even though it's still we in Louisiana, it's just a different type of heat down there. But
yeah, South Louisiana totally different. So yeah, I understand.
yeah. But man, I felt like I wasn't that far behind on that end. It was just terminology and the play and the structure of an offense, how an offense really should be run. Now I think if I would have went down there and said, "Hey, I'm gonna play defensive back," I think my transition would have been, I think it would have been a lot easier. Because cover 3 is cover 3, cover 2 is cover 2, cover 1 is cover 1. Keep this man from in front of you from scoring the ball. That's pretty much that's defense in a nutshell. And if they come to your side, make a tackle. Yeah, I could do that. And I probably should have not. I probably should have just said defensive back when I went down. My state, I would have now academically still would have been a struggle, but I don't think it would have discouraged me to the point where, man, I'm struggling this bad on both parts. That was the deciding factor. That was like, I mean, I can go down here and waste because now I'm ineligible from our first year what we did in college. So now I got to fight through that to get back to even, so that's going to be another year of football that's wasted. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I packed it up.
Right.
Okay. I mean, just like that, right?
So is there anything like in football or in sports in general that you would think that you've gotten that you wouldn't have been able to get anywhere else? Like, is there anything that like you feel like you've learned, you've gotten, you've gleaned playing sports that like, you know what, if there was nowhere else I could have gotten this experience or this knowledge or this information?
Just the tough because football teach you a lot about life too. You know what I'm saying? Just getting knocked down, getting back up, is one of the biggest thing, and just never shy away from the challenge of the game. And so I never shy away from a challenge in life, work wise, personal wise. Just no fear. It is either you're gonna catch the ball or you're gonna drop it. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna make the tackle or you ain't gonna make it. But I ain't gonna make the tackle, just not make the tackle by just sitting there watching it. So I'm gonna go at it full speed, So I do that with pretty much everything else. Also, but I did play football again after ULL.
Okay.
I was when the Battle Wings came, out there with them. But I tore my knee the last practice before the season started, and that was the.
Well, I'm just thinking, what year are we talking? So you left ULL in '99. You didn't come back, and then you when was this when you were trying out for the Battle Wing?
Was that 2000 or 2001? I'm trying to see what was the first. I don't remember the first year that they came. It couldn't have been because 2001 is when I went to. Did I go to Monroe in 2000? Had to be 2000. Was when the first year Pat Tilley was the coach, and they announced that we're gonna have an arena football team. So I was like, no school. I just gotta go out there and play football. Because I used to feel like why I gotta do all this? I just want to come here to play football. I mean, that's really why I'm here. To play football. Why does this algebra class matter at all? But, it's part of the game. So I went out there with that. And they want you to play two ways, so I went for defensive back, and wide receiver, of course. And like I said, the last play, and he called us up, and I just wanted to catch one more ball, and he threw it behind me, and I went up, and I went like that. When I landed, my knee just said, and I knew I just messed the thing up. So everybody was like, "Man, I heard a pop." I didn't hear no pop, but I got up, shook it off, because one thing I was never about to let nobody see me hurt, hurting, anything like that. I'm popping up, and like I said, it's the first injury I ever had. I mean, I got. Other than that, I had sprung my ankle in practice real bad. I don't know, it was a hole on the field, and I was running post route, and when I went to cut, that mug went right in the hole and rolled real bad. And I actually got in trouble for not going to treatment. That's to let you know another thing, the college is a business. I didn't go to treatment. I was supposed to go at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, first, I ain't going nowhere at 4 o'clock in the morning. So you go look at a sprained ankle. And man, when I got to practice in regular time, they tore into me. They're like, hey, man, your number one attribute is availability. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
I got you. So I started going to treatment. But, yeah, I tore my knee. And it's a brand new team. I don't have time for, you injured. They trying to establish something. So I got cut. And I remember they called me in the back of, I was at work, at Foot Action, because I was still working. And because I was supposed to sign at the Mudbugs game. And he called me. He was like, we had to let you go, bring in some other players. And I was like, it's cool, I understand. So that happened. And then I got transferred to Monroe with Foot Action. And so that year, Michael Young, you remember Michael Young, huh? Mm-hmm. He was playing at Grambling. I think he had graduated from there. So it was kind of like a feeder league, kind of like where scouts come out and watch college scouts, pro scouts, that type of league. And he was like, man, come out here and play. So I was like, all right. So I went out there, and it was called the Louisiana Rage. And we ended up going to the championship too. Louisiana Rage, I played free safety for them. And the only reason I played free safety, because when I got out there, it was some bootleg coach. And he was like, oh, man, you big. I'm putting you at and I was at this point, I'm like, I'm probably about 235, 240. He's like, I'm putting you at defensive end. I'm like, nah, I said, I play defensive back. Nah, you too big to play defensive back. I said, okay, then, well, this is what I'm going to do. Because you know my mouth. Right. I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get back here at safety. And if I mess up, hey, man, I'll come down here and play defense. I did. I led the league in interceptions, punt return yards. And then I played backup halfback behind Mike Wyatt. It was him and another dude that had graduated from Grambling. He led the league in rushing or whatever. We made the All-Star game in Texas. Like I said, we made it to the championship. We ended up losing. But I had fun that year. But at the end of it, because we played a full 13, 14 game season, plus we had the playoffs, which was another 4, 5 game. And I never got surgery on my knee. But I heard they gave me the option to rehab it, so I just went to rehab. And I'm like, I ain't getting cut on, because back then it was different than now. Players, man, they had 2 or 3. Back then you tore your knee, you was done forever. Like, you hope you was getting an education because you're done with football. So I was like, I ain't getting cut on. So I just kind of rehabbed it myself. But at the end of that season, I knew. That's when I finally knew. I said, yes, that's a wrap. Because the last couple games, man, my knee was hurting. So it had swelled up, but I just pushed through it. And I was like,
right.
Yeah, unless I get surgery, and I ain't doing that, so that's a wrap. So that was my last year.
Okay. So did you ever get your knee taken care of, or?
No, to this day. If I go too hard, it'll swell up on me. I'll put my sleeve on it and let it. I'm like, hey, man, that mud just don't have to break down all the way for me. Man. I don't know why. Maybe it's a mental thing,
Yeah,
but it's surgery, man.
I got you. No, I understand. No, absolutely. So, like, do you feel like you got some insight, like for like younger players coming up today? Like, what type of advice would you give a high school player coming up in today's game?
Man, seek all the knowledge that you can yourself, and just talk to people who've done it before you. Not only not people who just bitter. I mean, people who because like I said, I could have been bitter about my past experience, but I look back at it, and I was a lot of fault because, like I said, I'm not about to send you to no school saying I represent you and you go down there as a loose cannon, and now any player that come from behind me is gonna be like, "Oh, he sent us that Davidson kid." And anyway, so I mean, seek the knowledge and man, start early. Like I tell my son, and I even put him on this recruiting service now, just free because I go put the money in until you start showing me. But even when he talked to the guy who was over, he was like, it's like Facebook for college kids. Man, his kids on their 7th grade, 8th grade, college coaches already looking at them like you need to get yourself out there. These coaches ain't gonna do it for you. Don't depend on them. Go out there and get that knowledge yourself and put yourself out there. And just take it serious, man. It's not that hard to be great nowadays because these kids, they don't go outside. They own these video games. Man, you put 30 to 45 minutes extra in a day, you'd be light years ahead of these kids.
Right.
So just be a team player. If you got issues communicating, learn how to do that too so people don't take you the wrong way. But
Right.
and change, if you at a school with a bad culture, change it yourself. Start being the change that you want to be. And if you don't know how to do it, reach out and ask about it.
Yeah. Well, and I think even now how things sit now, and that wasn't necessarily the same when we were in high school. Like if somebody don't like a school, they can just go to another school. Like there was no, you got to go to this school because you sit in this district. I mean, it's still like that a little bit to some degree, but if you want to go to a different school, you can just go.
Yeah, that's true.
We didn't have that mobility then. It was like, hey, well,
you stuck here. You stuck here. You stuck here. And then I wish, I can't even say that, man, because I remember I heard you talk about it in the other interview about the alumni just coming back. Because, when I left UL and I knew I wasn't coming back, I went to Southwood, and if you notice after y'all year, the offense that they ran changed. I gave.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you was like, I know people's like, why they wasn't been running this offense? Now see, now you're running it, and they didn't have the personnel to run it, but they was trying to run it. I gave them my playbook from UL.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
I went there. I went to Coach Reeves, Coach Roberts. I say, man, look, I ain't going back to school. Here go the playbook from USL, man. And then I'm showing them all these different route combinations, and I'm like, I didn't know none of this. And so this could be a good system to start employing. I mean, and it was my wide receiver handbook, so it had to break down from beginning to end. Everything know how to run this offense, and I gave it to them. And after y'all year, they changed the offense. They were passing the ball like crazy.
I did not know that, man. So that is crazy.
Okay.
Well, I just said it, and even all the things that you kind of felt about the coaching staff, you still kind of came back and gave back.
Well, because I cared about the people that was there. Because I mean, we have athletes that should be going. Because even if you think about before our time, Brian Taylor, Patrick Dennis, like. Pat made it to the league, and I still, for the life of me, don't know how Brian didn't make it to the league. But they went to Northeast. And okay, nothing against Northeast. But them was Florida State caliber players, Florida Gator caliber players, LSU caliber players. They should have been way up here. And I felt like they probably was having the same struggles and issues that we had at our school. When we went to UL. So much like you can't. I ain't thinking about coming back in that time and talking to the athletes from where I just left because I'm overwhelmed with this other new stuff that I'm
Right.
being with. But when you think about schools like Evangel and all them kids go to college and they be back every game or every other game
Yeah.
talking to the team on the sideline because their transition is way easier been prepared different. And that's what I like about my son's school now. Man, he gonna be in the same offense. Pretty much his seventh grade year, eighth grade year, ninth grade year, 10th grade year, the same program like Benton Middle School and Benton High School, they are one. So it's like pretty much the same program from here to there, all the way to the end. Man, could you imagine if we could have got to be in something like that?
Oh yeah. No.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's just anything with sports and specifically football, man. Like it comes down to repetition. The more reps you get, the more
Yeah.
confidence you're gonna have. So any opportunity to be in the system for an extended period of time, man, you're gonna be that much more of a better player. And I think you mentioned earlier, man, that eliminates like the hesitation. So you could play that much more free, that much more faster.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it opens the game up so much more. And that's why I understand like when they say, players struggle here, struggle there. But like when you have a coaching change and the whole offense change, the whole defense change, it's going to take some time for any player to make an adjustment to where they can be comfortable and play at full speed. So to have that opportunity to do that, man, like no, man, that's extremely valuable.
Yeah, and that's why I say if I would have went to the Iowa school, the community college, because I mean that's what they do. They groom you and get you ready all the way around academically and football wise to go to those big schools. I'm like, man, if I would have, when I think about it back, I'm like, if I would have went there and prepared myself in that little 2 years, because like I say, you just get so stuck on D1. And I tell you all the time, man, don't get stuck on the D1, man. It's a bunch of schools where you can play it and you can still make it to wherever you need to make it to. If I would have went there, man, I 100% believe I probably would have retired from the league a couple years ago.
A couple years.
I 100% believe that, man, because I look at, I'm like, man, I pretty much played backyard football my whole life until I got to college. Like I thought I was playing the game, but I wasn't playing the game, and I was doing pretty good at it. Now imagine if I could do it in this structured system, actually learning it. But you get to that point, and nobody got time to teach you. You know what I'm saying? You need to already to learn it. We'll add some stuff to you, but man, you teaching somebody from ground up in college, we ain't got time for that. Because as soon as you're looking at the next class that's coming in. So
Yeah, because like you said earlier, they're looking for you to come in at least with that foundation, and then they'll add to that. But if you ain't got that foundation, they're like, man, this kid is raw, and I don't know.
Yeah, we ain't got no developmental program. You should have went to community college. And look, that what community college is. It's pretty much like a D league or something like that. You come in and you work and you learn, and then you come on up to the big boys. So it's a business. People jobs online. So
yeah. So you mentioned your son earlier. So are you giving him similar advice as far as like not being focused on D1 or learning the offense and learning actually how to play?
1,000%, man. 1,000%. I'm trying to teach him the just the basics of just football in general, sportsmanship in general, and then what coaches actually want. Because I know, you know what I'm saying? Even though I didn't play no games at a D1 level, when I've been there, I know what they want. I mean, I'm very observant and I learn fast. Like I say, I know what they want. I know what's required of you. I know the mistakes that I made in high school. I know the mistakes that the coaches made in high school. I take all that. I don't be bitter about it. Like, we're going to learn from this. So I teach him, hey, man, you need to know how to do this. You need to know how to do this. You need to know how to do this. I know what college coaches looking for. And then now he won't play tight end, a position that I played. So that's right up my alley. I can tell you everything you need to know about it. I think the hardest thing with him and just all the kids that age, because even when I was coaching on this team, they just want the instant glory. We come from this Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
Facebook generation. They just want to look like they're doing something. Man, you got to get it, man. And
Yeah.
I keep trying to tell them, and all these kids that I talk to, and I wish professional athletes would do this more. You know, they post videos of them doing these spectacular catches and this and that,
Mm-hmm.
but man, show yourself in the backyard, in the gym, working out, all the stuff that lead to them spectacular catches. Because these
Right.
kids, they can just go out. Like he bought some gloves the other day, and I'm like, son, like the gloves is cool. You think he
Mm-hmm.
gonna stick? And look, they stick you in, but I only wore gloves on defense because they were, you know, I like to have my wristbands and all that stuff. I like to match flashes, but on offense, I never wore gloves. I'm catching the
Mm-hmm.
ball with my hand. I'm like, man, you know how to catch the ball with your hands. The gloves add to it. That's like having stickum on it, but you just want to be flashy. Oh, I'm Odell Beckham. No, man. Had to do a whole bunch of work to be able to
Right.
catch the ball like that. You know what I'm saying? He is out there running routes and catching spectacular passes out of nowhere. And I wish they'd show that work level. They don't. They underestimate the amount of work that you actually have to put in.
Right. Okay. No, good deal. I'll hit you with a couple quick fire questions, man, and I'll get you out of here.
All right.
So, if there was one game you wish you could go back and replay, which one would it be, and why? If it was one game you can go back and replay, which game would that be?
Oh boy, it had. Oh man, if I had to go back one game, I could play maybe Marshall senior. No, Washington senior. Washington senior, hands down. Washington, we win that game. Our whole season different.
Hmm.
Our whole season different. And I want to go back because I dropped that wide open pass, and I don't because I mean you think, and I don't know how you used to feel, but if the ball come to air and it's coming to number 3, oh well that ball caught.
Mm-hmm.
I was, man, nobody was around me. Nobody was around me, and I dropped it. And that could have been a game changing play. And then I got that penalty right before half where I caught the ball, and the referee said I didn't. And I threw the ball at him and hit the, and we got that penalty. We're like, I don't know. It was like a 45-yard. I don't even know how to get kicked out the game. And then I specifically remember Coach Robinson saying, Joel, do you know a play where we can get third and 40? I said, we ain't got a first and 10, so you can get out of my face. See, little stuff like that. I wish I could go back. I said, I wish I could go back and change that game. Because, you know, Washington was on a level with West Monroe back then. They barely beat us. We beat Washington because I negated everything that defense did that game. We beat them that game. You talk about our confidence level because that's just game number 1 or game 2.
Mm-hmm.
Confidence level for the rest of the season is
Oh yeah.
proof. We're probably in the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
We probably in the playoff. So if I could go back in one game, it would be that one.
Okay. Good. No, that's hilarious. No, man, you wasn't confrontational, not at all.
Oh man.
All right. So, who's your favorite athlete of all time, and why?
Oh, prime time, easy.
Prime time?
Yeah. I mean, I don't. What can you say?
No, yeah, that's
Talking
self-explanatory.
and walking, man. You know what I'm saying? And this swag was back then, golly. Even now, still. Oh, it's hands down.
Okay. So, what's your most memorable game?
Mm, man, I want to say Fair Park. Even though my stats wasn't that good, just as a team, you know, they came out on us 20, 21, nothing. And, you know, we always beat Fair Park, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
we should be beating these boys. We came back and smashed them that second half. You know, everybody got motivated, hyped up. I was on that offense, getting in them, and when we start playing some ball. We made some good plays, and that was a memorable game because I felt like that was maybe the one game that year that we all played well as a unit. This whole like defense cheering defense cheering offense, and we rolled and got it. That's probably my most memorable game. But stat wise, it had to be maybe Rustin or Bird. I always had good stats against them, but as far as team, because it didn't seem like it. Well, yeah, D. I was a big team player,
No,
man.
you were, yeah.
Yeah. So that game right there.
Okay. And this is kind of like a two-part question. Since you played defense and offense, like I guess on the offensive side, like if you had one defensive player you could face, like who would it be? And on the inverse of that, like if on defense, like which one offensive player like you could go up against, like anybody, like future, past, professional, college, high school, like on defense and offensive side, who would you want to face as a defensive player, and who would you want to go against as an offensive player?
Oh man. As a defensive player, I don't know. It'd probably have to be somebody from Evangel because they used to hype them so much, and then we used to go to Bird and play football, and a bunch of them players used to be out there and used to be killing them. I'm like, what? This can't be the same people that they be talking about on the sports on the Friday night lights or whatever. But
Hey, it's the same players, but the coaching staff was totally different.
Yes. So it had to be one of them. I must say, I remember Philip Geiger was a big name.
Mm-hmm.
They used to talk about, I wouldn't mind going. I hadn't seen him play, and I'm like, but he was good though. He was like no hyped up player, so I wouldn't have mind going against him. And on defense, if I'm on defense, man, it gotta be one of the booties.
Yeah.
Which one was the wide receiver?
Abram.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's go. Let's go. Reginald Robinson was a fun matchup, but he didn't come in the slot too much.
Okay.
Had maybe 3 or 4 plays against him. They threw to him maybe twice, but he didn't catch him. But he was a good. He had real good footwork. Man, he had real good footwork. And he didn't seem fast, but some people don't seem fast off the field. But on the field, he was.
Oh yeah.
Arnaz, of course, but he was just. Yeah. Anyway. one of the booties. One of the.
Right. Okay. And last question, like who would you like to see next on the podcast?
Man, Michael Young. I mean, if you could get Brian Taylor or Michael Young, Patrick Dennis, even Jamal, because I mean, he was my brother, but when I was down there, because we didn't have cell phones and all that stuff,
right? It
wasn't popping like that. But evidently, from his junior year to his senior year, the boy turned into a beast. All state, all city, MVP, and all this other stuff. Like when I was reading his stats, I was like, "Y'all talking about my brother?" It was like, because we didn't come to no games because we had our own.
Right, you had your own thing going, right?
So I'm like, where this dude come from? Because I remember my junior year. He was all right, but I guess he just went straight up.
Yeah, I think so. Well, and I think like during your senior year, his junior year, man, he ended up with I think all district honors. So he was a pretty good player his junior year, man. He just kept putting in the work.
Yeah. Now he did. He worked. I get
that.
But any one of those players would be, especially the Bryans and Pats and even Mike's, because Michael Young, he went to Arkansas Tech. Michael Young is a D1 running back all day long.
Yeah.
He going to Arkansas Tech. So, I wonder what it would be like, hearing from them guys and just, their experience. Because I know what we saw and how we viewed them. Because, you always view the upperclassmen.
Upperclassmen, right.
Yeah, that's the man, this and this. But them dudes should have been in some big time schools. And for whatever reason, they weren't.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
No. Well, and to your point, like you just mentioned, like that was kind of my perspective when I was looking at like you guys and Renee. I was like, man, these guys will be going to LSU or wherever, man, just based on what I saw in practice and the work that you guys put in. And then, like I say, you kind of hear whispers, and then you don't necessarily get the whole story, man. And then you'll hear something from somebody who hear third person information, and they're like, man, I wonder whatever happened. But now I know Joe just hung it up because he wanted to go to work at Foot Locker. So.
Yeah. But that stuff, man, be honest though, that stuff mess with you because you never really feel like you was on their level because, like I say, you always view them as upperclassmen. That athlete, Brian Taylor was athlete.
Oh yeah.
Name league, and I think I'm how I'm gonna make it to the league. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Northeast. How I'm gonna make it to LSU if they only made it to Northeast? Like,
right.
Ballers, Michael Young, he at Arkansas Tech. Well, where I think I'm about to go. You know what I'm saying? So that stuff, dude, it mess with you a little bit.
Right. No, understood.
You think about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So no, I'll be working on that list, man. But no, appreciate your time, man. I appreciate your story, man. Like I said, it's great to hear. Like I said, I'm always excited, man, to kind of hear everybody's story, man, and kind of the decisions that they made and kind of the challenges that they walked into, and then how they kind of decided to hang up and kind of move forward. So I appreciate your time.
I appreciate you having it, man. I appreciate you having it. All right, brother.
Thank you for listening to the More Than Sports Podcast. Please like, subscribe, and set your notifications so you can be up to date on new content. Also, if you have a story you'd like to share, please reach out to us at mystory@morethansportspodcast.com.